Granblue Fantasy Relink is a beautiful-looking upcoming action RPG with an anime aesthetic. But does this fast-paced combat title have enough to stand out in a crowd of JRPGs? In this video, we take a look at everything we know about the upcoming title, including party combat, co-op, story, gameplay, and more. If you've been wanting to find out more about Granblue Fantasy Relink, watch on to find out. Granblue Fantasy Relink is actually a spin-off of the series. Even if you haven't played a Granblue game before, you can dive right into this one as it features a brand new storyline. And unlike the Granblue Fantasy mobile game, this isn't a gacha game. It's also different from Granblue Fantasy Versus, as all characters in Relink are unlockable within the game without additional DLCs, and it features a vibrant 3D world. The game takes place in the Sky Realm or Skydom. These floating islands exist in the Sea of Clouds. This dreamy-like world hasn't always been at peace though, as the Astrals tried to seize control of it roughly 500 years ago. But the citizens fought them back. For now, the world is tranquil, but you get a sense of not for long. The Sky Realm is also home to a number of different races and civilizations. These include your usual humans, but also more fantasy races such as the Aruns, who have large animal-like ears. Then there are the Harvins, who are smaller folk, and if you've played Final Fantasy XIV, they're somewhat similar to the Lalafels. Harvins excel at business and seem to possess a lot of wisdom. Lastly, the Drafts, who tower above all others, are great at labor-intensive skills such as construction and blacksmithing. Players will start their adventure by finding a letter left behind by their father, which speaks of a legendary island. This seems to inspire the character to captain a crew and set off for this mysterious place. However, before getting the chance to do so, they meet a girl called Lyria. This meeting causes all kinds of events to unfold, which is hinted to be fated. Along the way, players will meet a colorful cast of characters who can become crewmates. There are kings, misfits, and more, so expect a real motley crew to join your party. From the get-go, the story sounds rather sinister, but hopefully there will be some lighter moments in between, especially being a party-driven game. The gameplay shown shows a rather bright and airy world with floating airships and colorful picturesque backdrops. But of course, there will be some more darker areas as you encounter beasts looming in the shadows. Developer Cygames has said it could take roughly 20 to 25 hours to complete the main quest line. But of course, there are many side quests and further content to complete even after getting through the main story. There are over 100 quests and hours of post-endgame content. Quests don't have different difficulty levels, but rather they are organized by their difficulty mode. According to a recent interview with WCCF Tech, the devs expect players to spend around 100 hours playing on the hardest difficulty. It's not an open-world experience, but rather features large areas to explore, and while it does have online co-op, the game is centered around its single-player experience when it comes to the main story. There won't be any daily or focus on live service or battle pass in that sense, so if you want to play offline, you can. Granblue Fantasy Relink is a party-driven game, so while you do play as the main character, there are additional characters that can be selected to join your party. There looks to be 17 different allies, which range from more magical abilities to melee hack-and-slash combat. Bringing a different character to battle means a different approach can be taken and varies combat. According to an interview with RPG Site and the general director Tetsuya Fukuhara, these characters can be recruited by completing quests and receiving items that will unlock characters from the main base in any order you wish. Power level indicates the combination of the character's level and leveled equipment. Each quest will have a recommended power level. Of course, you can always take them on earlier for further challenge. The devs do expect it would be quite difficult to tackle the game this way, as the game is balanced with power level in mind, however. Characters also have separate power levels, but also have sigil accessories which are interchangeable between characters and factor into the level. Upgrading is not just limited to levels, as weapons have unique stats and traits which can be upgraded by the local blacksmith. This reminds me of how weapons are upgraded in titles such as Monster Hunter Rise, but instead, in Granblue Fantasy Relink, you have a party of characters. In Granblue Fantasy Relink, you can take on the game solo with no AI characters or party up with characters. You can also group up with a max of 4 players in online mode. How quests are handled when playing online is that if members of your group complete the quest with you, they too clear the quest. However, they will have needed to have unlocked the quest before. Interestingly, players can still join to help you complete a quest even if they haven't unlocked it themselves, but they won't be able to progress in their quest log, but you will still get rewards. If you're not a fan of controlling every aspect of combat or just wants to concentrate on the story, there is an assist mode. This mode auto-attacks for you, making for a less challenging experience. However, you should note that not all content can be tackled this way. Post-main story content, there are further tiers of quests, with the last tier not being playable in this mode. If you've played such games as Final Fantasy VII Remake's Classic mode, you may have experienced a similar mode which helps take over some of the combat. The characters will auto-attack, but you can take over using abilities, which is optional. Full Assist, though, will have all actions taken on automatically. This includes healing, dashing, and guarding. The gameplay uses real-time combat with a mix of melee and special powers depending on your party members. Teaming up can also inflict further damage. Stunning enemies requires filling a stun gauge, which fills up as you attack them. Getting that Link level to 100% and successfully pulling off Link attacks triggers Link time. This causes time to slow down for a short period. Skills are unique to each character, which can range from damage to healing and more of a support role. As you'd expected, each character has their own skills and can have up to 4 skills at the ready. In a party, you can access each talent tree to learn new abilities by unlocking mastery nodes, making numerous build options. Characters will also have certain sigils or weapons they can equip. The attacks are bright and flashy, looking very satisfying to build up enough of the gauge to pull off some awesome killer moves. Attacks aren't limited to the ground though, as characters can jump high and even dive from above. The mage character, Io, uses a staff to perform long-range magical attacks and can even set off an AoE to hit large groups of enemies. While Lancelot, as the name suggests, wields a sword, effortlessly slicing and dicing in fast succession. Siegfried, on the other hand, uses a greatsword which relies on precision-timed attacks. Getting the perfect timing means not only gaining a better combo, but also granting a unique finisher from some meaty damage. You won't be able to switch characters on the fly, but rather choose a character to main before heading into battle. You can also prepare for battles by switching up party compositions. Enemies are mythical-looking beasts which come at you from all sides, while bosses are larger-than-life behemoths. There could be some really fun fights ahead, not only in your own party of characters, but in co-op too. Final thoughts. Granblue Fantasy Relink kind of reminds me of Tales of Rise with its soft anime style. However, its combat gets some more dimension, especially with the option of online co-op and more open spaces. This will surely provide more fun ways to play, especially if you'd rather take on quests with friends. While single-player RPGs are always great for story, sometimes it's great to have co-op content to join in with friends or other online players, especially once you finish the main quest, like in Monster Hunter Rise. Granblue Fantasy Relink is a feast for the eyes, taking the hand-drawn art style of the Granblue series and adding a 3D world which looks fantastic as an action RPG. The sheer amount of characters that can join your party and ways to customize them means that there are many playstyles to adopt. You can also opt to play completely solo without AI characters if you really are up for the challenge. Having further challenging quests for endgame content will also provide some extra hours for those who want to 100% everything. There's a wide roster of characters in the Granblue franchise, so it's a wonder if they will add further characters in the future through DLCs or later updates. Whether an expansion will later come to the game is also unknown, but maybe we'll get an answer a little closer to the game's release next year. Adding further co-op activities or a new region could make for further hours into the game as an optional additional content. Granblue Fantasy Relink will be coming to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PC on February 1st next year, with the standard edition starting at $59.99 USD. So what do you guys think of Granblue Fantasy Relink? What do you think about the combat party system? Are you excited for this game? I love action RPGs and I love anime. This seems like a good mashup between the two. I can't wait to play this game. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.